Thinking back, I'll never forget those sounds. Pow, pow, pow.
It's been 60 years this year. There are a few of us left, but very few. I think about the event as it happened, and I go right back to the moment that it happened.
We were one lane width away from him when he was shot in the head.
I saw a father take his little boy and he put his body on top of the boy.
I think my maternal instinct kicked in.
I jumped to the rear bumper. Mrs. Kennedy was screaming, "I love you, Jack." I wasn't fast enough.
Mrs. Kennedy came forward, and I could see blood on her dress where she cradled the president's head in her lap. And she said, "Let them see what they have done."
The paranoia and the atmosphere that was gripping Dallas. Who was this guy?
I drove Lee Harvey Oswald to work there at Texas School Book Depository.
I had to stay with Mrs. Kennedy. I hadn't handled a lot of it very well.
On November 22nd, 1963, the United States lost its innocence.
Yo, Thomas, what's happening, brother?
Oh, not a lot.
It's been a while.
It's been a little while.
Yes,
Once
sir.
again, I know we always take a long break. You know, we got life. Everybody's got life. Gets in the way, but we're back again.
But we are back, and guess what? We're doing something that we've been talking about for how long? We've been
A long time since we started, basically.
Yeah.
We wanted to do this topic.
Shout out to also the trailer that we just saw in the beginning of the show from National Geographic. If you guys have not seen that show or that documentary, I definitely recommend you do. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Period.
It was good. It was a little lengthy. You know, after watching it, I went to other sources to kind of like condense all the information into a little bit more, you know, just so I could get kind of like look at it from a step back and really observe like all the talking points. But it's very detailed. Goes into a lot. There's like, is it like 4 episodes?
Three or four episodes. Yeah,
45 minutes long.
Yeah,
or something like that.
An hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched it all at once.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah,
so.
I had to watch it in parts, but no, it's really good. Yeah, if you haven't looked into that story, the JFK assassination, you know, it's so intriguing. Still lots of mystery that surround it even now, how many, 50, 60 years later. So it's I don't know. It's crazy. It's one of the biggest conspiracies.
The biggest
in the world. You know?
I just felt like everyone started like dying. Like anyone that had anything to do with JFK just started dying, falling, Yeah. It was actually something unbelievable. And there's so many different, I think out of all the conspiracies, there are so many different theories on this one. So many that can happen. Yeah. So there's the second shooter theory the CIA involvement theory, the mafia conspiracy theory, the military-industrial complex theory, the Bay of Pigs, everything about the Cold War. Yeah. There's even a Lyndon B. Johnson theory that he wanted to take over presidency, and he did not, I guess, like the way he handled the Bay of Pigs. So he goes, you know what, I'll just be president. So there's the cover-up theory, the magic bullet theory, the umbrella man theory. I mean, God,
obviously they can't all be right.
No, they're not all right.
But it's definitely like when you're trying to piece together like a mystery of this magnitude, there's so much depth to it. Yeah. So many working parts. It's just crazy. There's one guy. Did you ever watch that video of the guy that was he kind of claimed to be the second shooter, and he was in prison. Let me see if I can find the guy's name. I actually didn't get it written down. It was very recently that I saw it, so I didn't get a chance to.
He said he was a second shooter?
Yeah, he said he was the grassy knoll guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He was in prison, and there's a YouTube video with a big, long interview. He's giving all these details. A lot of people think that he's legitimate just because of how detailed he is about the events and whatnot. So there's... I don't know, like, really level of credibility. The guy didn't get a chance to really research him, but
well,
we'll look at. I'll look into it before we leave today.
The Trump administration, they just came out with an investigation on JFK. They just reopened the files, and they are saying there is a second shooter. Like that's what they believe.
What's her name? Anna something. Annalena or something like her. She's the head of the task force.
Yeah, she's the head of the task force.
Yeah, doing all this research, and she made that comment. I believe there's two shooters. Yeah. So we don't have all of that information yet public. There's 2,000 plus documents that they just like, oh, we just found this stuff.
I know, right?
Like, what the heck?
2,000. It was 2,200 or something like that. Files, undisclosed files, and there was documentation that was not even open out of the envelope yet.
Yeah,
which is absolutely nuts, I think.
But it's crazy. Yeah. What was the name of the gentleman that was at the head of investigating the assassination at the time of it happening?
The one that got fired from JFK?
He maybe. Well, I don't know if he got fired. It was they call it the something report.
The Patrick Gray report?
No,
because Patrick Gray was the acting director of the FBI when he got assassinated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the guy who ended up getting fired by JFK.
Oh, okay.
And then they rehired him after his assassination. What? Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
There's another level right there.
There's another conspiracy right there.
It just keeps going. There was a different. They call it the something report. It's like the Wilson or something memo. It was the guy who actually who was at the head of the investigation for the time. Was the
after assassination?
Yeah,
because I thought it was Gary. Wasn't Patrick Gary?
It was Warren Commission. The Warren Commission.
Oh, the Warren Commission.
Yeah,
okay.
The Warren Commission. There we go. Yes. So I don't know how they don't find how you get 2,000 plus documents. Yeah, just suddenly.
Oh, they knew there was there.
Yeah,
they know it was
that's
there.
what I'm saying. It's kind of crazy. That's so much.
Yeah,
that's so much information.
And it's not only that; it's also MLK and Martin Luther King, and it's also Robert.
Yeah, I heard that
Bobby.
Yeah. I heard that MLK's family was kind of pushing for the information not to be.
Well, it was pretty brutal. I guess what I've looked into it on the Martin Luther King files that he would receive letters from the CIA saying to just commit suicide. It was going to happen anyway. Yeah, and
really?
they have these letters.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is absolutely
insane.
Yeah, so that's what they're trying to cover up from the MLK.
What the heck?
Which again, it's just a theory. Remember, folks, this is all theories.
And people are saying that there's got to be a group of people that say that these must not be legitimate or something like that, because if it was like proven to be true, the CIA assassinated Martin Luther King Jr., that would have been a major story.
And you know what? it should be a major marriage story.
It should be,
you know, but
I mean,
it's
especially
not.
if there's any evidence to support it.
And I feel like it wasn't, because back then times were different. You know, he was fighting for civil rights, obviously, and people didn't like that. So a story like that, it's not like JFK. They're going to cover it. They're going to be like, yeah, let's not talk about this. Maybe it'll go away.
Yeah.
But not in 2025. I'll tell you that it's not going to happen.
No.
So
like bust this wide open.
Yeah,
man.
wide open.
Yeah.
And there's just so much conspiracy theories, and this is what this episode is really about. I mean, we're going to give our opinion. We're not going to say we're right, or we're not trying to educate like we've been saying.
No.
You know? This is our opinion.
Exactly.
And you might think we're kooks, but we love it.
Exactly.
We're
here to entertain.
We're here to entertain, and whatever theory we say, damn it, it's going to be.
Exactly.
Before we do this, Thomas, let's get a little salute here.
Yes.
A drink.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother. That is good.
Yeah, let's dive in, man.
Let's dive into that. So I got a question for you.
What's that?
What theory do you think is the actual closest to the JFK file?
Ooh. Man, I don't know. Because, it's, I don't know. Second shooter for sure. I'm going to say, like, there was definitely probably more than one shooter. The magic bullet crap doesn't make any sense.
The magic bullet doesn't get you?
No, I don't get, because that's like the accepted theory too, which is like even crazier to me. When you get down to like the real details of how that whole thing works, I just don't think it shows up. There was a recent study by an animation lab that they say none of it lines up with what they say, how they say it did. Well, some of it did. Some of the shots, do line up, but then there's others that where other people got hit, because who was the mayor of Dallas, or governor?
Yeah,
was it the governor?
What was his name? He was I'll get his name right now in a second. But so tell me a little bit about the second shooter. Then what do you think about it?
I just think that that there was a. Probably most likely, because they say that they heard shots coming from that grassy knoll area, and I think that that's probably most likely where the other shooter was. There was like a parking area too right there with like a fence where they could have hide behind, and then they could have a quick getaway right there. So I think that that's most likely where they were shooting from, as well as, I mean, I think Oswald was involved. He was shooting from the book repository, and there was another one.
So do you think that the second shooter theory has something to do with the umbrella theory, the umbrella man theory?
Because he signaled for the shot?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
This was in Dallas, it was in November, but it wasn't raining. It wasn't anything going on, right?
But there was rain happening like prior to. There was rain the day before, I believe. I think the weather was a little bit off, so I didn't know like so much if it was a lot of support for that,
Yeah.
To say that, oh, this guy shouldn't have had an umbrella. I mean, I don't think that I believe that the weather kind of supported people having an umbrella. I think there was like some off weather. The weird thing was like let's leave the top down. I thought like they wanted they were kind of wanting. And I guess JFK supported that.
Yeah,
too.
that was a JFK thing. He wanted the top down to be more presentable.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of, not a smart tactic. The biggest thing was, I thought, which was weird, was this Secret Service that were accompanying them. They're like running close to the vehicle, and then they were called off to stop running, to stop being close to them.
I don't know if they did that because of the moment that someone's shooting a rifle at somebody, and they don't know if they're going to get shot or not. So that, like, kind of a reaction. You know what I'm saying?
Well, wasn't that before the shots happened?
Well, no. I mean, they ran into the vehicle.
But once they were getting shot at, But before that, have you seen the video of the guy like getting called off protecting the president and just like waving his hands like up in the air, like,
not really.
Why am I doing that? Why am I not staying close?
Well, I did see the shooter turn around at the moment of the bullet hitting JFK's head. Now, that's where it makes no sense to me, right? How if the vehicle's going forward, right, it's passing wherever Harvey Oswald is, on top of the building. He shoots, hits the back of the neck, right?
Yeah.
But the second bullet hits the front of the head, and you still want to just pin it on Oswald?
Exactly, yeah.
How? And the whole magic bullet theory, that is actually super freaking weird. Like, how's a bullet curve like that and hit the governor in the hip? It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's crazy because they say that there was like it was deflecting, and like it would hit and it would go down or up, and it's going all over the place. It turns around and goes the other way. It's just a really weird. I don't know.
Cover. It's a cover.
It's a cover, man. It's a cover. Absolutely.
But did you ever hear about the Patsy theory? So the Patsy theory suggests that Lee Harvey Oswald was not the true assassin, but was set up as a scapegoat. Oh. He was not the true assassin.
And he was kind of saying that himself.
He was saying it the whole time.
Yeah.
And then gets assassinated.
Mm-hmm. God. I don't know. Yeah, it could be. Because he was also visiting. Yeah. I feel like that could be, that there's some to support that, Yeah. He was going to different embassies up to the assassination. He was trying to get into Russia. He was trying to get into Cuba.
He was in Russia for 2 years, and it comes back. He was trying to be, fighting democracy and so forth about Cuba and whatnot. Yeah. Yet, Fidel Castro at the time was a dictator, and yet it's just strange. You're fighting for democracy, but yet you're going for a dictator, which makes no sense. So what happened was the Bay of Pigs.
Because he was a sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to talk about the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
You got something before that?
Well, I was just going to say that Castro was a proclaimed socialist, and that was what Lee Harvey Oswald was as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, the Bay of Pigs. Yeah, let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, the Bay of Pigs. So what happened was, this is so crazy. The Bay of Pigs, they were trying to... It was pretty much like a civil war in Cuba, right?
Right.
People were tired of the dictatorship of Fidel Castro at the time.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't know, and I don't know if they do or not, but the Cuban exiles that were getting trained by CIA agents.
Right. That's what we sent. We sent those guys in. Mm-hmm. We sent these people who were against Fidel Castro, who were... and then we didn't send any of our own military guys, right? It was just these guys.
That's the issue right there. So once these guys were getting pummeled by the actual Cuban army, they expected the U.S. military to interfere into it, and they never did.
That's why they blame JFK for that.
They blame JFK for that, who JFK blamed the CIA for after that. And that's where the CIA... He said he shouldn't have listened to the people around him, which was the CIA agents, and which was also... Patrick Gary at the time, right? He was a head of investigation of CIA. These are very important people, right?
Right.
And to be blamed for something that they thought the president, JFK's fault, and JFK is blaming them. And then on top of that, you got the whole country of Cuba blaming someone, right? And then on top of that, this is in the middle of Cold War too. You got Russia to worry about.
Yeah.
And if JFK blamed the CIA, that's where the CIA conspiracy theory said that they wanted JFK dead. Mm-hmm. Because the blame, they thought Lyndon B. Johnson would have done a better job. But what happened was the CIA would train these guys, these Cuban exiles, and they would train them and give them the equipment, give them all the weaponry, give them everything, promising that if, in the middle of the war, that the U.S. would interfere, and they never did. And also, this was happening before JFK was in president. I believe it was Eisenhower that was president at the time, right? And this happened before that. So JFK got himself in a pretty fucked up situation.
So the whole conflict started with a different presidential office, and then JFK inherited that afterward. He got it. He had to take care of it after it had already begun.
And that's where the Lyndon B. Johnson theory comes along, because he thought he could have done a better job, right? And when you have missiles pointing at you from Russia, Russia and Cuba were alliance, and that's the whole thing with Ukraine too. They wanted NATO military in Ukraine, and Russia said nope, and that's what also this whole war started. Well, that also happened that they didn't want Russia military in Cuba, and that's why the U.S. the whole Cold War started with it didn't start, but it was a big old conflict.
Okay. I want to get into something right here. I just looked up, since we touched on it just now, when the Bay of Pigs actually began and under which presidential office it came under. Well, the Bay of Pigs invasion began in April 1961 under John F. Kennedy. But the plan was set in motion by Eisenhower.
Oh, okay.
So it was in March of 1960 that Eisenhower ordered the CIA to develop a plan to overthrow Castro.
Oh, okay.
So and then
that's crazy because now you're like JFK. His whole process is different than what Eisenhower's is, right?
Yeah.
His whole mindset is different.
Yeah.
And to be blamed for something that, oh man, that's
right.
nuts.
Well, the thing was that also it says here that Kennedy authorized the invasion in February of '61. He was briefed by the president-elect John F. Kennedy about the plan, and on the 17th of April, Brigade 2506, a group of Cuban exiles, landed at the Bay of Pigs.
Wow.
So he knew about it. I just don't know exactly where the whole thing derailed. Like where, if they just never planned to really support these men, the Cuban exiles, or
I feel like the Cuban exiles, they felt betrayed because they were really CIA is and the United States are saying, hey, go for it, get those guys, go ahead, you do your thing, we got your back. And then when they're getting conquered, they're like, yeah, we're not doing anything after that.
Yeah, like we need some help, guys. It's like, no.
So, man, can you imagine what it'd feel like? You're fighting a civil war in your own country, and then you get the United States saying, "Oh, we'll back you up," and never did.
Yeah, and there's some more interesting information here about it. So the invasion, they say the invasion was poorly planned, executed, etc. The landing site was a remote, swampy area, left the invading force vulnerable. Kennedy did not send the necessary air support, which cut off supplies to Brigade 2506. The invasion failed within 2 days.
Wow.
With all of Brigade 2506 captured or killed.
Wow.
So maybe there were some people who escaped capture. Maybe one or two or a few there
The problem with that as well.
Or they got captured and they were
tortured.
They were tortured by Cuba, and maybe Cuba.
Well,
maybe there was some retaliation there, because we had Oswald going to Cuba and visiting with an embassy. I think there was another guy who talked about it, and there's like who was investigating this, who was a military guy, and he talks about a gentleman within some file that was declassified, and they call this somebody that Oswald was meeting with, and there was kind of a secret name that the guy went by, El Mexicano. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and he was actually a Cuban spy who was kind of in a department that dealt specifically with assassination.
Wow.
Yeah. And Oswald was meeting with this guy.
So, see, and that's where it's crazy, because we keep saying there's a lot of theories that it wasn't Oswald, CIA, so forth. It was Oswald. Let's just get that out of the way.
I'm going to say that he was definitely involved.
He was definitely involved. He definitely shot. Let's just say that. But there's got to be another shooter. There is just no. He wasn't that great of a shooter. He was actually in the military.
Yeah.
And did not make it in the military.
Yeah.
Got booted out of it because he was such a poor soldier, I guess. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. But I don't know if he just resigned or what. And then you're going to be able to take 3 shots like that? No.
Yeah.
In the documentary of the National Geographic, they had an American sniper, right? Specialist in sniping. He was able to do it the time that they were saying that Oswald did it, but he did it like in 0.5 seconds. And this is like a professional sniper. And he goes, there's no way Oswald would have done that.
Yeah, he wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Really.
Especially at a moving vehicle.
Yeah, because was Oswald, did he have a background in the military?
Yeah, he was in there for a year. A year or two, yeah.
But he wasn't like...
But he was
elite level sniper.
No, he was not good. That's why don't quote me on this, but I don't know if he resigned or he got let go.
Yeah.
But he was very poor military.
Yeah, that points very much to scapegoat.
Yeah.
Like Oswald was just kind of the blame guy.
Yeah, and then 24 hours or 48 hours.
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby gets shot. So let's talk a little bit about the mob. Why do you think the mob was so investigated into this? Why are they mentioned in this?
I don't know. There was probably a potential, where was JF, because I actually haven't gotten that far into that theory.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to hear. I'd also like to hear what you think. But it was JFK like was he pushing against the mob, or did he have ties within, or did he have any type of relationship?
Oh, okay. So what happened was RFK was Attorney General, right? And what was going on in the whole thing with Cuba was they're doing gambling, prostitution, so forth, bringing American money over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
No tax, no nothing, and pretty much frauding. Like, it's fraud. So RFK, Bobby got involved and arrested a lot of these mobsters.
Oh.
He was the one that did he had a lot of interaction with these mobsters. He was known for his efforts to break up mafias, which at the time was intensive influence in the American cities, including like New York, Chicago, Las Vegas. Yeah, all those guys that would have, let's say, businesses and drug deals and stuff. RFK was in charge of all that. Now he was in his early career. He was a Senate, right, and the council, and he was marked as an involvement in the investigation of every mafia crime there was possibly. So when the murder of JFK, when people say why the mob wanted JFK, they really didn't want JFK. They wanted RFK. But they knew at the time, if they take out RFK, who's going to come after them?
JFK.
Yeah, his brother.
Yeah.
So what do? You cut the horse's head, instead of the tail. And I think that's why the mob is so involved in this, because even though they had some kind of, and they didn't like JFK, let's just get that straight, right? Because he supported his brother. But,
so do you think that's probably a likely area where the whole plot to kill JFK originated from, would have been the mafia?
Yeah.
And they just used Oswald as the scapegoat. And probably there was probably a second shooter who just got away scot-free.
Yeah.
Just because, they were able to. Because I do think that Oswald was easy because he was in a building and they were very accounted for. He worked there at this building, and in the buildings, like as soon as like the assassination happened, they were walling off the buildings and checking to make sure everybody was accounted for who was supposed to be in that building, and Oswald was the only one not there.
Right.
And afterwards, and they did say that. I think he just slipped past somehow. I can't remember exactly what.
Well, a lot of these RFK efforts were not just about breaking up their criminal operations. He was also focusing like on deeper networks dealings, like the mafia's power, right? They were taking over everything. And that's something that RFK would definitely, the Justice Department would definitely wiretap into all that. Extensive surveillance cameras, public hearings, all these activities that the mob bosses were pretty much fearful, and they didn't want their name out there anymore because they're getting notified. Because Bobby Kennedy, he's a big figure, right? And if he catches you, it's because you're a big figure as well in the mob. So I think a lot to do with the assassination of JFK had nothing to do with the JFK, but more of Bobby Kennedy itself. That's just my opinion.
I like that theory. I like that. I feel like there's enough to support that. That could be definitely a possibility.
And that's where that theory, the Pasty theory, the Oswald Pasty theory, that he wasn't the true assassin.
Oh.
That the mob did it for him, but he was there. And then they they used him as a decoy. The cops because also the police also heard another gunshot from another location and during the assassination as well. So that gets me going like, okay, why is there another gunshot going off, and why are they giving the Patsy theory that they're just using him as a decoy?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I do think that he was likely, obviously not the only one, and I don't think that they expected Oswald to be able to take him out on his own So
maybe because he was a bad shot.
Yeah, exactly. Terrible shot. So
Yeah.
no, I think that the Patsy theory is a good one. I think that there's definitely, I think that one was up there. Like obviously the magic bullet crap doesn't hold, and so I think it's a combination. Obviously, so if he's a Patsy, that means second gunman. So I think that still falls within the second gunman theory. I think that the second gunman is part of the Patsy theory, and that those two connect. And I do believe that there was somebody else out there, maybe a third person.
Well, the thing is, so Jack Ruby,
Yeah.
right, the one where he had a nightclub, right?
Okay.
And not only would high-end mobsters be in this nightclub, and this was, I believe, in Houston. I'm not sure. I believe so. Or in Dallas, maybe. But anyway, he wouldn't have just mobsters. He had CIA agents in these clubs, mingling with the mobsters, prostitution, drugs, so forth. So
they were kind of like under the thumb. There's like a lot of CIA guys who are actually under the thumb of the mob.
Yeah. And when the mob, where there's mob, money, drugs, there is corruption. There is a video that we can put up that this theory is with the CIA theory.
Yeah.
Goes with it. But actually, if you pay attention to the driver, you can see what they're saying about the CIA. The driver, not the driver, the passenger that was sitting next to the driver, turns around, right? And then once he turns around, you can see the bullet go right through the front of his head, but at the exact same time. Have you ever seen that video?
I've heard of that theory that the driver, that the driver turns around and shoots. Yeah, let me look here. Show it to me.
And a lot of people, that's also why the CIA theory is out there.
Oh, wow. Oh, whoa.
Now, in that video, where's the governor at?
That's a crazy shot, though.
Yeah.
That's a really perfect shot.
If you go like this, he's behind me.
Yeah.
I can have a pistol, and look, just do this. Just like that.
Yeah.
Just boom.
Yeah, it looks like he's holding something.
Oh, he's holding something.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me that.
I'll definitely send you that. But yeah, it's very crazy what's going on with JFK, and I'm really hoping that they really solve this, because it is a lot of corruption. It's a lot, and he was a good president. He really was.
He was. No, I like JFK, and I think that he was ahead of his time in a lot of aspects. You know, talking about the secret societies, and
he wanted to bring unity together too.
Yeah,
he wanted to stop the whole dividing. With the colored white people. The whole bathroom segregating. I mean, it was just a mess. And JFK, I feel like he tried to bring that together. Not just himself, but Martin Luther King and all them. Yeah. They worked together. And it was just a tragedy.
Absolutely. He was definitely one of the better ones out there. Somebody and that's probably why he got killed. He was going against the grain of those in power.
Him and his brother. Yeah. Also, there's a gentleman by Patrick Gray who served as the acting director of the FBI. And he was actually, after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, Gray was appointed by, this is weird as hell too, President Lyndon B. Johnson, ahead of the death of
JFK.
He became, the director of the J. Edgar Hoover. He was the man in charge, right?
Oh.
After Hoover been serving for decades. But Gray was heavily involved in the investigation JFK, right? Particularly like the FBI efforts with great evidence and conducting interviews and all that other jizzer-jazzer that he did, right?
Okay.
But a lot of people don't understand. Well, it's not that they don't understand. I don't know if they know. He played a significant role in the FBI that focused on Lee Harvey Oswald. He was in all his cases.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, because I heard that Lee Harvey Oswald was actually being followed and observed by the FBI
by this guy himself.
Yeah, and weeks prior to the assassination.
He's the one that's saying it was only a lone gunman. How interesting is that? And this man was actually let go by JFK before his assassination. Because of the Bay Pigs.
I think there's probably the truth of the matter is whatever the truth is probably very embarrassing for the CIA.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that there might be a level of that they're trying to bury something just to kind of save face as well.
But another thing with Gary, right? Patrick Gary. Yeah. It doesn't end there. So what happened was after he got fired, got rehired by Lyndon B. Johnson, the head of the FBI, right? Gary was also fired in 1972 for the result involvement in the Watergate scandal.
Oh
or
my
Richard
gosh.
Nixon. Yeah.
Oh, really? Holy crap.
That's insane.
So after this whole like debacle with JFK, he got rehired within the government and then fired again
by Lyndon B. Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, after Lyndon B. Johnson knew, he let him go because of the whole incident with the Bay of Pigs deal. But what's crazy is Gary had a lot of authorized destruction evidence that he related to the break of the Democratic Committee headquarters about the water break. So he was also like a snitch himself, which was involved in it as well.
He didn't get assassinated, did he?
No, he did not. No, but I'm surprised he didn't. To be honest,
I was going to say you'd think so.
Yeah, so his involvement with the Watergate handle and the JFK assassination investigation is part of a public reckoning, pretty much, so to speak. So that is super interesting. Like, him not involved just in the JFK, but also involved in the Watergate scandal.
Which... I wonder if like people who don't get assassinated, who you think would get assassinated, if there's a reason behind that. Because I think that there's probably people that would have gotten killed with all the in all the different conspiracies within the world. But I think that they probably have contingency. They know that the powers that be are coming after them, so they have some type of contingency in place. So if I do get killed, somebody else secret to the world will release this information type of thing.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. And there's also, before we head out here, I want to talk about Mary Meyer. Have you ever heard of Mary Meyer?
No.
She was allegedly had knowledge of the JFK assassination. So she was not only involved with the mob, she was a drug user. She was also...
Well, there goes your credibility.
Yeah, there goes her credibility. A drug user involved with the mob. And get this, she was also claiming that she had an affair with JFK.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, she assassinated. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, the thing is, she knew about the assassination.
She said, "Hey, this is going to happen."
Yeah, she claims that she knew about the assassination and that she was ready to say something, but nobody believed her because of her credibility. Like
so she was saying was trying to tell somebody, but they didn't believe her. Because
she claimed that members of the mob drugged her, beat her, threw her on the ditch. When she got to the hospital, she claimed that she knew about assassination JFK. They didn't believe her because she was drugged out of her freaking mind.
The flip.
And then the next
day,
I
feel like that's proof right there that the mob was involved.
Well,
right?
here's the where it gets complex.
You were saying the mob beat her up.
Yeah, they mistreated her. That's what it said. But I mean, I'm assuming they beat. But if you can say, the mob did it, right? Yeah. But also, could you say that she just had hatred towards the mob for drugging her, beating her, and throwing her inside?
Either way, she's claiming the mob was involved, and she blew the whistle on the whole operation before it happened. So I feel like there's a level of credibility there because it's an after-the-fact thing. JFK did end up getting assassinated. This woman, prior to the assassination, was saying the mob was kind of orchestrating that. Mm-hmm. But they're just going to say, we're not going to believe her because she's a drug user.
Well, also, it's not just the mob. She also blames the CIA.
Oh, well, because they're in cahoots.
They're in cahoots.
Yeah. And she knew about it, probably. Mm-hmm. She was probably going to the same clubs.
Jack Ruby's club.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm. Jack Ruby's club. And she would also give details. She was like an informative.
She's linked to the club, going to the club.
Yeah, and she would give information to the CIA about mobs happening. And I think that had to do a lot with them beating her, maybe.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know. It is crazy.
That's crazy. See, that makes me think all the more that it was that the mob had something to do with it. Yeah. And that also leads me to believe that the CIA covered it up because it was their own boys involved. They were trying to save face. They were trying to save, themselves from humiliation as well as imminent jail time
Because back then, it's not like right now that someone can record you and okay, there's the proof. Back then, you have word of mouth. That's pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, recording devices were around, but it wasn't like, everybody has a recording device on their person like now we do with our cell phones.
And Mary Meyer also had she was well known in Washington D.C. social circles that she had with the CIA. She also claims to have an affair with JFK during his presidency. Details of the relationship are largely speculative, but it could happen.
I wouldn't doubt it. JFK was getting around, I think.
What about if JFK wanted to get something with the mob because they found out that they were having an affair?
You think you said why you're saying that JFK was trying to?
Yeah, the mob probably said, you know what? You're having an affair with this woman. We're going to expose you. Blackmail. Robert, his brother gets involved in it, cuffs them up, and guess what? That also could be a conspiracy as well. Yeah. And she's claiming that she had an affair with him at his presidency. And JFK is well known to have affairs. Marilyn Monroe.
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Dude, this conspiracy is freaking endless, bro.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And we will show you a couple
Marilyn
of videos.
Monroe, didn't she? She died of, they say, what was it? Supposed overdose?
Yeah.
Supposed.
Supposed overdose. Yeah. Can you believe that?
She was, quote unquote, suicided.
Yeah. She was a very beautiful woman, too.
No, she was.
But also.
Anyways, though.
Yeah. Also, Meyer, Mary Meyer was shot and killed while walking along. Yeah. I'm not done with this girl. I'm not done with this girl. See? Nope. Yeah, she was shot and killed in 1964, 2 years after the assassination.
Oh, what the heck?
63.
That's retaliation.
Yeah. 1 year later, right? 1964, October 12, 1964, was shot and killed while walking at a canal towpath in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. The murder was quickly deemed as robbery.
What month was it of 64?
October 12th.
Oh, yeah, so just almost a year.
Yeah.
Just under a
year.
Barely,
under a year. And some believe her murder was just connected to the JFK assassination, that she was killed in silence to silence her for knowing too much.
It's not obviously it's not a coincidence that she said that there was going to be an assassination attempt, but just before he gets assassinated. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How do you not go back to that? Go back to that woman? Did the Warren Commission even try?
No. And guess why they didn't try? Because the guy that was in charge of trying was fired prior to JFK. And he didn't try because why? He's the one that came up with the magic bullet theory. That was his deal, which is you might be right. It's complete bullshit. You know, it might just be. But yeah, it's just absolutely crazy to think that a year later, the girl that's saying JFK was going to get assassinated. These are the mobsters. These are CIA. A year later, gone. Yeah. Shot and killed, and no one gives a damn.
I think it's a definite fact that the magic bullet's bull crap, especially with these new files coming out. The head of that investigation, she's already saying she believes that there was a second shooter based off of what she's read.
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
So it's going to be interesting in these next few months, if they decide to really make this stuff legitimately public.
They will. They already spoke on it. I believe they will. Yeah. It's just, to me, the most interesting one is the second shooter theory. We still need to find out who that was. Yeah. The mob theory, I'm going to definitely go with that as well, but not the magic bullet theory. And the umbrella theory. What do you think about the umbrella theory? Could that possibly be a signal to the driver of the CIA that was driving?
It could be.
And I don't know if I said this, but we're going to watch in the middle of this a short video.
Okay.
A 20-second video or 15. And we're going to see the CIA driver see what they do. So what do you think about that? Like, what did you think about that video?
It's interesting. It's really hard to tell, but I mean, it was, the timing is very coincidental of when he turns and when the shot actually, connects with JFK. I don't know. Yeah. It's possible. It's possible. I just don't really see it was just like, man, that's a really good shot too, with like a pistol. And
it looks like
would a pistol do that kind of damage too?
That close? I believe so.
Yeah, maybe so.
That close, yeah.
It scalped him, took his whole skull off the top of his head.
In the autopsy, he had a bullet hole, a fourth bullet hole in the back of his, lower back of his shoulder, and that they never and that's in the JFK files that they're actually investigating right now. If there was actually a fourth bullet hole shot, that they did not claim that there was.
Yeah.
So, and another thing that I felt was very important is that when they did the autopsy,
I was just going to say,
and the doc, that's not JFK. That was not for JFK. They got a random person to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's a freaking president, dude.
Was that his first autopsy ever?
I don't know. Was it?
Because I want to say it might be. Let me look that up real quick, because I was reading it. It was definitely like some weirdo, like some guy that should not have been doing JFK's autopsy.
That's what I heard too.
Was doing his autopsy, JFK.
And he even said, "I'm not qualified for this." And and Patrick Gray demanded that he would do his autopsy. So, very suspicious, very crazy things.
Well, it says, I mean, based on what this information is saying, maybe it's not so weird. I'll have to look up some more information, but immediately what comes up was the autopsy of President John F. Kennedy was performed by 3 military doctors, Commander J. Thornton Boswell, Commander J. Humes, Lieutenant Colonel Pierre A. Fink. So one was the head of pathology at the Naval Medical School, one was laboratories director of the Bethesda Naval Hospital, one was chief of the Military and Environmental Pathology Division at Walter Reed Army Medical Center.
Oh, so he was pretty, I mean,
it doesn't sound like they're nobodies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to say that I was like, there was something weird going on.
Now that you mentioned the magic bullet theory, right? What makes you think that theory is, like, people actually believe that theory even exists? Like, why do you think that?
Well, because I think that in ballistics, bullets do tend to not, once they hit a target, they don't just go straight. So I think that's why people were willing to accept. But this was like beyond that, It's like as if if they want to say like what this bullet is doing, it's like it hit water and like shrapneled into a million different, going in all these different ways. I feel like that's just not how it happens when it hits a body, but I could be wrong.
No,
I'm not an expert.
I'll tell you this: ain't nobody right on this when it comes to JFK. I mean, ain't nobody gonna be right about it. But I do believe like the single bullet, and this is according to the Warren Commission, right? That the theory was the same bullet that struck Kennedy, his upper back, was also through his throat, right? So kind of like it ricocheted, maybe. I mean,
I think that's part of what they're saying. Yeah, that
and then it entered the governor. His name was Governor Connolly, if I'm not mistaken. And
I think you're right.
Hitting him right in the wrist and then lodging through his leg. Like, and this magic bullet was like an X-Men shit. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah,
how this bullet went everywhere.
What if one bullet made all 7 wounds? Arlen Specter, he is the one that gave birth to the single bullet theory. What if one bullet went into Kennedy's back and came out his neck and then went into Connolly's back, piercing the lung, destroying 4 inches of the right fifth rib, exiting from the front of his chest, going into the back of the wrist, shattering the distal end of the radius, and a 6'4" guy like Connolly, that's a big, heavy bone, comminuted fracture, exits from the front of the wrist, goes into his left thigh. Whatever you want, whatever you need, this bullet happily and readily obliges you. It is indeed a magic bullet.
CE 399 was the magic bullet, and all government investigations so far have treated that bullet as absolutely foundational to this case.
And the fact that people still believe in the magic bullet is,
it doesn't seem right. There was, if you look up more information about it, a few years ago, there was an animations lab that tried to recreate the whole event.
Oh,
and
okay.
with all of the different entry wounds of bullets hitting all the different targets involved, everybody who was wounded in that, it didn't line up. There was a couple that did, based on where Oswald was, because they were trying to base it off of all of this happened from Oswald. That's the prevailing theory given to us by the government, is that Oswald acted alone. So all of this damage, all of these different bullet holes had to just be only Oswald. Yeah. And the way that all the where the bullets impacted and who they impacted, it doesn't line up. At least not all of them. So some of them do, but all of them don't.
Yeah, and that's probably why it's the biggest conspiracy of all time.
Yeah.
So if you can pick the conspiracy that you think is more likely that happened, which one did you say it would be?
Second shooter, grassy knoll.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm going with also, I would say the second shooter. That makes more sense to me as well. The second shooter theory, I mean, it has to be obvious, right? So many damn bullets going through, so many signs that there was. And people are going to criticize me for this, but CIA, I really feel like had something involved in it. A lot of people are going to say, no, that's ridiculous, but I really do after the whole Bay of Pigs.
Absolutely. Because I feel like the second shooter grassy knoll thing is obviously it's one of the theories, but it's kind of like it touches all the other theories too, like the CIA involved. Well, that's a second shooter, So if it's a CIA, the way that I'm saying this is my favorite theory, it's kind of like a broad statement to say second shooter theory. It's like that encompasses all the theories basically.
I think so too.
I do think that CIA definitely could have been involved, and it could have been a co-op thing with the mob. I don't know if Cuba even could have been involved in some way.
Well, there was a conspiracy, another one, that the way JFK had planned to assassinate Castro was the same way Oswald assassinated JFK.
Wow.
On top of a building with the same AR.
Oh, wow.
And at a moving vehicle while he was moving in his vehicle. Because Castro would have done the same thing. He would go around, wave and stuff as president.
Whoa.
And yeah, that could
have just been
and the CIA,
his way of FU Kennedy kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's pretty insane. But there is a theory. I mean, not a theory. I'm sorry. It's called the Milgram experiment. Have you ever heard of the Milgram experiment?
No, I can't say that I have.
So in the 50s and 60s, they did an experiment that they brought an actor, right? And they had him in pretty much in like they're trying to shock him, right? They're connected to a lie detector kind of deal, right? But it was an actor. He wasn't really getting shocked. And they would bring random people, some of them having elementary education and some having doctorings, and see how far they would shock him knowing that he was in pain. When he really wasn't in pain.
I think I saw this. Yeah.
And that's the theory of like the obedience theory. Like how far will they go? Is it being obedient and taking orders like what CIA did? Or is it some kind of psychopathic shit that people have in them? And what's funny is they told them if they have more than 250 volts, you can kill this person, right? And every time they would ask a question, it would be a wrong answer. He'd be like, okay, 110 volts. And the guy is acting and he's like, get me out of here. And he goes, hey, he's complaining. And the guy who's doing the experiment, the doctor, would be like, nope, keep going. Like he'd be very thorough, very persuasive. He was doing it on purpose to see how far he would take it. 67% people would kill the person.
Wow.
100% of people shock the people.
That's crazy.
And when I was reading that, I was like, how much of these orders were from, if the CIA did assassinate JFK, how much of it was just following orders and how much it was psychopathic tendencies?
Yeah. Maybe they had to find somebody who is a little bit of both.
We definitely have to do an episode on the Milgram experience. Like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Basically, this whole subject is going to probably need another episode eventually, especially with all the new information we're going to get with all these new files.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for the longest time. This is probably why we even started a podcast. We've always said, let's talk about JFK.
Yeah.
And it's, there's a lot of JFK books, podcasts. I mean, everyone has different
so much information out there. So much info.
But it is
like I said, there was like a guy that was in prison who claims to be the second shooter, and if you guys ever get a chance to look that guy up, I'll find his name and I'll try to include it in the when we post the video.
Yeah.
But it's a really detailed account on all the events on that date, and he gives a lot of information. But a lot of people say he doesn't have credibility because a lot of the information he does give could very well be, well, anybody could really make that up if they given enough time.
Right. Yeah.
But he's very concise. He's very precise. He doesn't like sit and maybe this is what he's very.
Why is he in prison? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
We'll definitely do a follow up on that. We'll post a video. You said, right?
Yeah, I can definitely. I'll give information. The video that he's in, and after I leave today, I'll try to find it, and I'll try to put a little snippet.
We'll put it at the end of the show,
yeah,
and then people can watch at the end and see.
Yeah.
Also, quick question here that's always been in the back of my mind: if the assassination of Trump would have happened in Pennsylvania, right? I think was it in Pennsylvania? Would that be the biggest conspiracy?
If it happened in Pennsylvania?
No, it happened in Pennsylvania. Remember that he turned around and they shot his ear?
RFK?
Yeah.
Or who?
Donald
Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Because
if he actually got killed?
If he actually got killed, no, I mean, how do you have a guy on top of a roof, right? Scoped and everything. And then wait till he shoots and then shoot him.
Yeah.
Be like, oh shit, this didn't
work.
work.
They were very aware that this guy was there.
Yeah. There's a police officer that told him to get down. That was up there already saying thing. And then when they investigate him, he was in a robot commercial, or he was in a commercial. All right. That's crazy. What the fuck? This guy's in an actual commercial, a TV commercial.
Who, the guy that shot Trump?
That was shooting Trump. Yeah, the kid.
Oh, really?
And then when they went to his house, it was absolutely clean. No silverware, no TV, no couch, no nothing.
That's crazy.
Everything erased.
That's so
gone.
weird, dude.
Yeah.
That is so freaking weird. We'll have to do a whole podcast on that guy.
Yeah, what could have happened?
So we should touch on that
a
little bit more, because I do think, dude, if he got Trump, it would have been way crazy. Dude, that could have sparked something insane.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know Civil War level, but holy crap.
Yeah, I believe there would be a Civil War because I do believe that they would blame the left.
Oh yeah,
for it,
absolutely.
And the left would blame the right, and there would definitely be a Civil War.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon here in the United States, you know.
Yeah,
we've had one like 200 years ago.
There was a lot of people just like, darn it, they missed him.
Yeah,
there was a lot of people saying that. It's crazy, dude. You know the guys from Tenacious D? You know who
Jack Black?
Jack Black, Kyle Gass. Did you see?
Yeah, he had like a live concert, and he said they should have hit him or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It was his birthday, and before he blows out the candles, he's all like, "Please don't miss Trump next time."
Oh God, Jack Black. Jack Black's too.
Jack Black cut ties with him faster than dude.
Jack Black, he's too
faster than you could say. Freaking.
He's too like high end at the level to be doing
be associated with that. Yeah, and he did.
He's one of my favorite actors.
They stopped touring after that. He totally segregated himself from Kyle Gass. And dude, they were. I don't know, like if they are still in communication now. Best friends for the longest time. They did that movie together.
Tenacious D.
Pick of Destiny. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's pretty shitty to put your friend in that situation too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He would be like, oh, you know the wrath you're gonna get afterwards.
Yeah.
And
Jack Black's doing all these movies and stuff, and like.
What happened to all these actors that said they were leaving? They're still here. Like, I'm like, Whoopi Goldberg, where are you? Why are you still here?
Did you see the latest thing with Tom Hanks?
Yeah, and that's another actor I really like.
I love Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
man.
Come on, Tom, take it easy, bro.
I did, you know. No, even before that, he was in Hot Water. He was like, there's a lot of stuff with Tom Hanks besides that whole thing. You've heard about him being potential pedophile and stuff like that. Have you heard that?
Yeah, but I don't pay too much. I mean, everyone wants $1.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You should look up Cappy Chapman. I think that's his name.
Huh?
I think that's his name. So I got the name wrong on that. His name is actually Isaac Cappy. Isaac Cappy. That's his name. A whistleblower who he outed. He said Tom Hanks. Who else did he say? Seth Green.
Can you imagine Seth Green?
Yeah. He said, I think James Cameron. No, that's Seth Rogen.
Oh, that is
Seth Green is the Dr. Evil's teenage son.
Oh, fuck that guy then. Oh, my bad. I got my sets all mixed up. At least you can tell by the laugh, though.
Yeah, I did know. That was a good impersonation.
Oh, yeah. All right. No, then we're cool. I like Seth Green.
No. Well.
Or Seth Rogen.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. Yeah, Seth Green. Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was an actor. He named all these guys, including Tom Hanks, Seth Green, James Cameron, named them all pedophiles, and then not long after that, threw himself off an overpass onto a highway and got hit by a car. Yeah.
Oh God, you can. Yeah. You can't make this shit up, can you? How many of those guys were in the Epstein files? Ooh, we're gonna find out here soon, huh?
I know. I hope that's I hope that's on their next list after JFK to investigate.
The Epstein files.
The Epstein one. I feel like that's the next one they should be doing.
Yeah.
But who do you think they'll go to next after JFK?
Martin Luther King. They have to.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think that they're doing.
They
Martin
did
Luther
him
King,
so wrong.
JFK, Martin Luther King. But after that, these are some major ones. I feel like Epstein has to be part of the run.
Epstein. P. Diddy
will be in there.
Yeah, they're gonna. I guess they found his receipts for his baby oil. Wasn't too good. In the thousands.
Yeah.
Costco misses him. I'll tell you that.
Dude, there's just a whole room just of baby oil.
Well, there's a Justin Bieber conspiracy. That he gave up all. His. I guess there's no other way to say it. He gave his ass away just for his fame.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Crap.
Like to get where he's at.
Oh, jeez.
And P. Diddy went all out. But yeah, that's why
used up half his baby oil.
Yeah, he used up. He's like, I'm getting this snow bunny. But he was a minor. That's the issue.
Yeah, yeah.
So Meek Mills too. I mean, I think we've talked about this before, but yeah, it's just we went from the JFK to this.
Right.
Yeah, that's how we talk, Thomas.
I know.
That's how we
jump around.
We jump around.
Jump.
Maybe
around.
we'll talk about it later on. So
yeah, we'll touch on all of this again.
There is other episodes we were talking about that we want to do, like the dreams episode. There's other subjects that I would like to talk to. We're going to start bringing guests here soon. So if anyone's ever interested in having an interesting story or a theory and they want to talk about it, let me know and we can see what we can do.
Yeah, we definitely need to get some more opinions up in here.
Yeah, for sure. So we're into that. So anything else before we leave, Thomas?
No, sir. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
This was an awesome episode. And we'll see you guys again.
Peace.
James Earl Files, born January 24th, 1942, also known as James Sutton, is an American former prisoner. In 1994, while serving a 50-year prison sentence for the 1991 attempted murders of 2 police officers, Files gave interviews stating that he was the grassy knoll shooter in the 1963 assassination of United States President John F. Kennedy. He said he took one shot at Kennedy with a Remington XP-100 fireball gun, which was the final fatal headshot, which infamously caused Kennedy's body to jerk violently back and to the left. Files has been subsequently been interviewed by others and discussed in multiple books pertaining to the assassination and related theories. In 1994, the Federal Bureau of Investigation was quoted as having investigated Files' allegation and found it not credible, quote-unquote. Here is the confession that James Files gave during an interview while he was incarcerated.
My real name is James Sutton, but I changed my name in late 1963 due to the fact that at that time I wished to get married and raise a family.
And what is your name now?
Today I'm incarcerated. I'm under the name James D. Files. I have raised a family under that name, James Files. At about 10:30, Mr. Nicoletti asked me how would I feel in supporting him and backing him up on this. And he told me I wouldn't fire unless it became extremely necessary. And I told Mr. Nicoletti, I said, Jesus, I'd be honored to do anything to back you up. And he asked me, he says, where would you, he said, where it goes outside, if you was to be outside here, he said, where would you position yourself at in Dealey Plaza? And I told him, I said, from looking everything over and from walking in the week that I've been down here, I said, I think I would choose up there behind the tree behind that stockade fence on the high ridge by the knoll up there. And he says, why there? I said, well, I've got the railroad yard in back of me there. We've got a parking lot there. I've got a place to where I could stash whatever I would need. I said, and I can pass off myself off as a work in the railroad yard for the time being until that time comes. And nobody would really pay any attention to me. And he asked me then, he says, where do you think would be the best place for me? I said, well, I think the Dowtech building with the new change in it, I think the Dowtech building over there would give you the best advantage point there. And he said, I think so too. So we took a walk over, went through the parking lot over by the tracks, walked around through there, and he seemed pretty well pleased with that. And then at that point, it was about 11:10, he asked me what weapon would I choose to use over there. And I told him, I said, I would like to use the fireball. He says, why that one? He said, you've only got one shot. And I said, one shot's all I'm going to get anyway if I wait until the last moment of firing. I may not fire. I said, and it's easy to conceal. I carry it in the briefcase, and nobody will pay any attention to him, and it's easier to walk away from there. And that's exactly what we did at that point. And shortly before noon, we went back to the vehicle. I took the briefcase out and turned my jacket inside out. I went back into the yard, to the railroad yard there. I secured the briefcase. And then I hung out back there, and I walked down on the grassy knoll. I looked things over. Nobody paid any attention. People were gathering. And shortly before the motorcade came, I went back up there and started securing myself in a better position so I'd be able to reach the attaché case, at that point, the briefcase. Excuse me. And I knew once that I opened the briefcase up and pulled the weapon out, nobody's going to be looking at me. The motorcade would be coming, making its first turn, and I wouldn't have to remove the fireball from the briefcase until approximately they made the turn on Elm Street there. And I would have plenty of time at that point. And at that point, when they started proceeding down Elm Street, shots started being fired from behind, and I assumed that it was Mr. Nicoletti, because he was the one that was in the building, and I knew that Johnny Roselli was there. And I remember the shots ringing out, and even though the president was being hit with the rounds, I was considering it a miss because I knew that we were going for a headshot on the president. And I had known he had been hit in the body, but I didn't know what part at that time. And I seen the body lurch, and I saw the body lurch again. I heard another shot that missed, and we were supposed to hit no one but no one but Mr. Kennedy. And I guess Governor Connolly got hit with one of the rounds at that point. And I wasn't even sure of that because I was keeping Kennedy as best I could in the scope on the fireball. And when I got to the point where I thought it would be the last field of fire, I had zeroed in to the left side of the head there that I had, because if I waited any longer, then Jacqueline Kennedy would have been in the line of fire. And I'd been instructed for nothing to happen to her. And at that moment, I figured this is my last chance for a shot, and he still had not been hit in the head. So as I fired that round, Mr. Nicoletti and I had fired approximately at the same time as the hit started forward, then it went backward. And when I would have to say that his shell struck approximately 1,000th of a second ahead of mine, maybe, that's what started pushing the head forward, which caused me to miss in the left eye, and I came in on the left side of the temple. And at that point through the scope, I witnessed everything, matter and skull, being blown out to the back of the limousine, and everyone on television watching saw Jackie Kennedy crawl out there to get it. And I watched her hold on her hand to crawl back in the car and put the fireball back into the briefcase and closed it up, and I'd pull my jacket off, reverse my jacket, so I would have, instead of a plaid slide out, I would have the gray like a dress jacket, more or less. And I put a cap on my head, to walk away with carrying a briefcase.